What's up everybody? I promised a special video last time and I figured I should probably keep that promise. A while ago I was asked by Computer Guy 96, at TheRetroWeb admin, if I was interested in a physical meetup. My first reaction was, oh yeah, and my second reaction was, fuck yeah. My third reaction was that I came up with the idea of combining that trip with one of my legendary scrap heists. Because what's even more fun than exploring my 1000-year-old hometown with some of the best cultural and culinary delights the country has to offer? That's right, scavenging around e-waste containers fishing for old motherboards and cards. Fun for the whole family. Anyway, once everybody was on board, I started combing tons of classified ads and auctions before I finally found the perfect deal. So once they were here, we decided to take a little road trip. The seller had about 3 different barns and sheds full of e-waste at great prices, and allowed us to go through the container and cherry pick exactly what we wanted. He also had some stuff he set aside in great working condition, not just motherboards but also entire systems, cards and boxes, literal boxes full of CPUs. We all spent around 150 euros each and then headed home. Sadly we didn't have the time to film an unboxing together, but I'll let you take part in what I have at least. Oh yeah, there was also this really cute cat, oh my god! Anyway, let's not get distracted by that. Let's take a look at the stuff I bought. The first motherboard here is a Gigabyte 6VTXE from 2001. Pretty late socket 370 motherboard with the VIA 694T chipset. T meaning it supports Twallatins and it has an ISO slot. How cool is that? Let's put it on the test bench. And it does absolutely nothing. Power on switch not working. Right, so let's see what's going on here. Normally the way this works is one of the pins is ground and the other one is the power on signal going to the south bridge. It's an active low signal that's pulled up to the standby voltage, which means we should have 3.3 or 5 volts here. But checking with the multimeter, there's absolutely nothing. Oh, yeah, don't even have to look far, why? There's an impact crater here. Looks like we have some traces to fix. Let's get to work. All done, let's test the board. Operation successful. The board works. Awesome. It even runs Doom. How cool is that? Time to finalize it with some UV curable solder mask and we're done here. So yeah, that's 1 for 1. Let's keep that energy up, yeah? Next one, Gigabyte GA6BXE, a top-end slot 1 motherboard from 1998 with the Intel 440BX legendary chipset. It has 4 RAM slots like the venerable P3BF, not even the P2B sported that. I think this heatsink has bird poop on it. Blech. We also got a bit of a situation on the CPU slot here, but it seems all the pins are intact, so technically it shouldn't cause a problem. Let's give it a try. Oh. RAM error. Maybe there's bird poop with the RAM slots too. Oh, it's posting. What the hell? The board is screaming at me. Well, that's not really a problem for me right now. What I'm really more concerned about is that it doesn't detect the CPU correctly. This must be an old pre-Pentium 3 BIOS, so let's put a P2 on. Huh. Well, it still screams at me, but at least it runs, but it screams. Actually, it said check system health, so I kind of already had an inkling what was wrong. My test bench power supply is fairly recent and so it doesn't have a -5 volt rail, and a couple of boards actually complain about this, but none of the other boards are this vocal about it. Anyway, this board is working. I gotta put a new heatsink on there. You wanna know why? Because fuck the bird poop. No poopy heatsinks in this household, ma'am. The next board we have here is an Asus A7N8X. Socket A board, one of the most classic NVIDIA Enforce 2 motherboards of all time. It's in decent condition and it'll run anything you throw at it, so let's just try it. RAM error, I'm betting we have to clean the slots again. That seems to become a running gag here. Anyway, the board works really well, except for one thing. The BIOS doesn't detect the motherboard temperature correctly. It's like double corner 80 degrees. Excuse me, I didn't know I was running this in the eternal fires of hell. Anyway, I have a couple of these motherboards actually, and they all do the same thing. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if this is just a BIOS bug that they never fixed. Whatever, let's move on. Here we have another excellent high-end find of the time. This is an Asus A8N socket 939 with the N-Force 4 Ultra chipset. Not SLI capable, but still pretty damn cool. This one turns itself off immediately after turning it on, and if experience is anything to go by, things shutting down by themselves is never a good sign. Also, the chipset fan's stuck, but that's the least of our worries. On closer inspection, there's quite a lot of damage on this board. There's a giant crater here, and something smashed into the board on the edges as well. Two broken traces and one severely damaged one.
I've seen worse.
Oh, this one's tricky. The exposed copper here actually doesn't belong to the traces, but to a power plane underneath. That's how deep that impact was. I better add a layer of solder mask so that the new wires don't short to it. Time to test. Oh, postcodes and it doesn't shut down anymore. Oh look, we woke up the chipset fan. Oh.
Hello.
Let's keep moving.
Hey.
Yeah, man. That's an epic success if I do say so myself, but that fan really needs some work. It's whisper quiet. Let's put it back together. To achieve truly epic success, we mustn't forget the battery holder. Okay, this is a Biostar M6VBE, and it's quite interesting to me because in a prior scrap haul I already had one of these. The north bridge there was sadly damaged beyond repair, so currently it's serving a life sentence in my scrap box. And the reason I put it there is because I didn't have a replacement north bridge for it. And here's where things get interesting. The broken one has a VIA 693 north bridge and a 596A south bridge, whereas this one has a 693A north bridge, meaning Apollo Pro 133 chipset with a 596B revision south bridge, which means the chipset is one gen newer. But the rest of the board is completely the same, which makes me think that those are interchangeable and I could take another scrap board with a 693A and put that north bridge on it. I might do that in a future video, we'll see. Anyway, we've got a capacitor plate to repair. These are the original capacitor plague era caps. Choyo, meh. Anyway, here's the replacements, and as a side note, I recently found these Kensha SHW capacitors while browsing LCSC for new capacitors to buy because I'm getting really tired of hunting down deals on AliExpress. But this is the cheapest low ESR capacitor with a proper data sheet and decent specs I could find. I bought around 100 for 8 cents a piece, and I gotta say, yeah, the datasheet isn't quite honest, but the SR tester says they're good. And I tried to do some really dumb shit to them in order to get them to fail, and they haven't. And all the boards I've used them on still work and are perfectly stable. So honestly, for that price, for quick recap jobs of scrap motherboards, why the hell not, you know? Anyway, that's enough shilling for the CCP. I expect my payment soon, yeah? Let's test this shit. I did not have to clean the RAM slots this time. That's good news. Yippee! Holy moly, this motherboard has riz! Look at this gorgeous blue translucent retention bracket. And this cheesy PC133 sticker. And the Soltek logo. Now if that's not riz, I don't know what is. I actually don't know if I use that word correctly. Whatever, man. Oh, it's the running gag with like the RAM slots and the cleaning and stuff. Oh, I'm riding the wave of success. Also, this board has software FSB. Doesn't go up to 133, but let's see if this Pentium 2 350 can do 124 MHz FSB. That is uncanny. Wow. Also, I forgot to mention what this is. Soltek SL67FV1. There you go. Next. Here we have an MSI MS-5146. Pretty decent socket 7 board with a sys chipset. It's not a super socket 7. It can run MMX CPUs though. Speaking of, this comes with a CPU and RAM. Now this is kind of a reunion for me because I used to have this board. In fact, it's the motherboard I built my very first really optimized retro gaming machine with 15 years ago. I don't remember mine having two PS2 ports though. This is really cool. This board is in really good condition. Let's see if it works. Wow, we got a boost. We're on a roll. Also, what the hell, the CPU's overclocked. 225 and 128 megs of IDO. What, in the treasure chamber? That means these are 4 32 megabyte sticks. Unbelievable. Actually, what is that CPU? Ah, it's an MMX 200 and they overclocked the bus to 75 megahertz. Now it makes sense. Frick! I mean fuck. I mean FIC. That's the manufacturer of this board. FIC PA-2005. One of the earlier MMX-capable socket 7 boards. This board came out in a transitionary period that you best had skipped. This VIVP chipset is one of the most unnecessary ones ever. It has cool things like USB 1.0, which I just noticed while editing isn't even populated on this one. But the integrated IDE controller doesn't do Ultra DMA. It also still has the slow design with the external data bus controllers. It was replaced with the VIVP2 chipset shortly after, which improved on it massively. Most importantly, the south bridge doesn't combust spontaneously. I've personally seen 3 PA-2005s with dead south bridges. Let's see if this is one of them. Oh wow, it's not! The real-time clock is intact. This board must have been used fairly recently. I wonder what for. Here we have the oldest board in the set, and to be honest, I've never even heard of this manufacturer. Silicon Valley Computer, and the model number is 486WB. It's a socket 1486 board, and the reason it's interesting to me is because it's from 1991, therefore it predates the 486 stuff I normally work on by quite a few years. Honestly, I don't exactly know why, but this board looks super cool to me. Like, I instinctively want to hang it on my wall as like a conversation piece in the house or something. We do have some battery corrosion on the surface, but nothing too serious. Oh crap, that's gonna need some work. So yeah, something hit the board here and severed a pin off and mangled a couple of others. I will try to save the pins on the right, and I'm gonna have to Dremel away some of the chip casing to expose copper to fix that broken pin. These pins look a lot better now, don't they? Wow, except for that brown spot, I think this looks really good. Let's just go over this corrosion very quickly. Oh! Wait, no picture? Well, it would help if I plugged the video cable. Oh, yes! And the keyboard works too, even with the corrosion. I did actually rework the Varda damage properly off camera. And yes, I did seal off that exposed part of the chip. So now this board is nice and shiny. The last thing we have is this computer, which we saw in the corner of one of the rooms, and we decided to open it, and to our surprise, there was actually something pretty valuable inside. A Slot A Athlon motherboard. Since Computer Guy didn't have a CPU for that slot yet, we decided that he'll get the CPU and I'll get the motherboard. So we split the costs. The only question is, does the motherboard work? This is an NMC 7VAX. NMC or NMIC motherboards were commonly identical to Epox motherboards. This one is no exception. It's identical to an Epox 7KXA, a VIA KX133 base Slot A motherboard. I do own the Epox variant and it's very eccentric. I'm wondering if this board is more stable. But for now, just like its Epox counterpart, it's riddled with bad capacitors. Let's fix that.
Play.
That is actually a really big relief. This exact beep pattern in the postcode has a very specific meaning. It's not the actual system BIOS that's running here, it's the so-called boot block. It failed to decompress and run the system BIOS, presumably due to a corrupted flash, and it's trying to find a recovery disk in a floppy drive. Since I don't have it and I don't even have a floppy drive connected, this fails and that's why you get the beep boop at the end. I'm gonna rewrite the flash chip. Best case scenario, if this works, we have a working Slot A board. Yeah, perfect score, let's go! I'm gonna put this in my Slot A build to replace the eccentric Epox. We'll see if it's as unstable as that one. Thank you everybody for watching this far, but we're not done yet by a long shot. There's plenty of cards and CPUs to test out, but we'll save that for another time, huh? What do you guys think? Was this worth it or not? I'd be interested in your 2 cents. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.